So we have come to the first session of the workshop. We have with us Rajeev Sethi, who's a noted Indian designer, scenographer, and art curator. He is known for his outstanding designs across the world. In 1986, he was awarded Padmabhushan, India's third highest civilian award by the Government of India. He is a curator and founder chairman of the Asian Heritage Foundation.
Thank you very much. But since we were going to keep this very spontaneous, you really don't have to introduce me. I'm sure the kids will be able to find a way to find out a lot more or a lot less than what you're telling them. So let's leave it to them. Let's get on with what your questions are. And let these be really burning issues that can put me in a spot and that can really get me into a fix. So don't be polite.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So fire.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question first? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there something called Indian design today in India? Do you think so?
I think both the words are contentious. What is Indian and what is design?
Okay.
So together they become doubly contentious.
Okay.
I think an answer will have to come from each of you quite differently. It's what makes you feel at home. And that would be somewhat contextual to India if you're informed well. If your pedagogy has allowed all your five senses to draw their sustenance from what's all around you.
Okay.
If not, then you're as good as an Indian as you deserve to be. And in terms of design, what is design? Can you find a single Indian word that is equivalent to the word design in any language? And we probably have 400. There isn't any. Can you think up one quickly?
Design. Can one of those anyone tell? Malayalam. Yeah.
It's a Rupa Kalpana. I don't know whether it is exactly design. Rupa Kalpana, we call it.
No, it's not just Rupa. Design is not just about Rup. And Kalpana is imagination. And it's not Rup. Design is not just Rup.
Right.
What about the intangible?
Right,
no,
right.
Believe me, there's no one single word. We've done a lot of research on this. There isn't. So it's a new context. We now have to appropriate it. We call it design, but for us, I think it will have to be different. It will have to be very transdisciplinary. It will have to involve all the senses. It will be functional. Sure, functional in the sense that that too changes from context to context, from person to person, from wherever it's being experienced, wherever it's being expressed and articulated. So this is it's a theoretical construct. So while I respect the question, I hope you respect my answer.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So quickly, one more question from me, then I'll just leave it to the others. Is there something called Indian identity?
Again, contentious. I've already explained how contentious is Indian. What is India? Does its heart stop beating at a certain time? If I wear jeans and bikinis, am I not Indian? Yeah. If you were wearing jeans and bikinis and nothing else, then I can tell you were not Indian. But sometimes you want to do something which is like everybody else in the world, and so you have to ask yourself at that moment, what is me? And that me has to be very contextual. It has to be taking its sources from everywhere. And if it doesn't want to and wants to fly, then it really has to fly with great sense of confidence, with a great sense of connaissance, as they say in French, more than just knowing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I leave it open to the others, the students. Yes, please.
Okay, how many of you know me? Has anyone seen my work? Has anyone seen me talking before? Hands. Gosh, fresh lot of kids. Okay. So you can afford to be as rude as you want to. Go ahead.
Fast. Yes, yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, in all of these years of your practice, what is the one question that you're still asking and you are about design or otherwise, and you're finding for an answer that you still not found an answer for?
Well, to be specific, it's 50 years, not just all these years. 50 years, and I still have at least 500 questions unanswered. And this is again a general idea, but to help you, I can probably, I'm trying to understand the changing alchemy of material and how material starts to change the skill, by skill I mean largely the hands, how it changes visual literacy, how it changes the more intangible cultural ethos, logos, pathos, and mythos. Mythos is mythology. Egos is context. Logos is logics. And I can't remember. Pathos is all about the emotion. Emotion is very big. I think I'm always trying to see how new materials that are coming in, like cement, plastics, I get excited by all of them. But I need to check it under all these microscopes. They're not even microscopes, but they're just open antennas. And I need to feel comfortable. And they have to emotionally involve me. They have to make me understand that this context is rich. This material is not polluting the environment. It's not making somebody unhappy somewhere. I need to see that this material has a huge potential for making people more powerful, empowering the people. It should go down to the weakest if necessary. It should not make them voiceless. A few people should not own it and the rest should be told to run along and go away. So these issues are important. How to be a future, how not to be pastless, ruthless, futureless, and voiceless. I do apply these paradigms to anything I do. And if it's leading to one of these nesses, then I'm uncomfortable. And my questions are not answered. So everything goes under this grid of questioning. And I must feel comfort levels. And when I am convinced that this is something, now I'm talking too much because I should give you examples. Not coming to me in my mind. If I do, I'll tell you later. Example, of course, is I think all these points of ticking if it's right or not often come together when I'm doing something which is completely handmade. I think doing something with hand, the material dictates itself. The context is so rich because there are skills everywhere. It's also very environmental friendly. It's very inclusive. It empowers people. So I think that's where many of the answers come. If I find it's a material too exotic, too much just for the sake of the fun of it, well, it excites me for a while, but it's not going to give all the ticks. I need to get myself completely excited by something for me to get involved. And I can afford to say no. Now, everyone can afford to say no. Even if you're a poor student, you can afford to say no. That you don't want to do something that you don't want to. That intuitively you don't feel comfortable. Just say no. If it doesn't feel right, also say no. Then find out why it's no. But always good to say neti, not this, not this. Be very discerning. and be experimental. Try out things. But your intuitions have to be very sharp. So the woman in you has to be very strong. That intuition has to work. I say this in many of my lectures, so you would probably see it more elaborated somewhere else.
Yeah.
Good designers have to bring the women in them. Women are often better designers. My mother was a much better designer than I would ever be. She was never a designer. She was a housewife. But what she did, how she did more with less, is amazing. You know, that's really what design is also about. How to do more with less.
Yeah. Anyone asking? So I have one more question for them. Like, if a young graduate in India, like most of these students are just out of college, some are after masters, some are after graduation. What advice, single piece of advice do you have to give them? They're all from Indian colleges, most of them. They're out into the world. What do you have to tell them?
To really be out of this world, out in the world. The world is big. Get out of your shell. If you're a student right now, experience the world. You people can do it much easier at the press of buttons. At my time, you had to physically travel. But believe me, that travel is very essential. Whether it's to the village, or it's to Timbuktu, or it's to Bolivia, or to the USA, or the the meadows of London, wherever you can travel. And remember, travel wasn't very comfortable ever. I've been on backpacks of mules. I've walked for miles. I've actually had to swim rivers to get to places. It's not been easy. On bullock carts, on bicycles, on tongas, you name it. It's never been so simple. So get out, pack your bags, tell your mommy and daddy that you're off. And you now have a phone at least. So you have an umbilical cord that you can't leave behind. We didn't even have a phone. So, you know, that you always have. So I think you can easily go now. So get out. Immediately after college, don't work unless there's somebody completely mad, completely crazy who's going to take you to another world and can really give you all the fantasies you want. Don't work. Just get out and study if you can afford it. If you can't, then find a place where your imagination will not get straitjacketed. This is the only 1 year, 2 year that will serve you for the rest of your life. If in these 2 years you get trapped and you do what you're expected to do, well, you asked for it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, can you comment on architects having the inherent quality of sensitivity, as in sensitivity, and why so? Because today we see people building for people, human beings, and I think designing with nature has become secondary. But
Yeah, but better you know the answer already. Everybody will give you a standard answer, but I'll tell you a different answer. I think you're a good architect if you're a good dancer. Can you dance well?
I can sing.
Can you cook well? Yeah, all right. Catch any art and you will connect with the whole fabric. But do it well, very thorough. So you know, anything that you do, it all connects. If you're a good dancer, you have to be a good musician. You have to be a good musician. You have to be a good sculptor. This is not me saying. This is the Vishnu Dharmottara Puran. It's 1200 years back they were saying this. And then my mentor was Charles Eames, who always said, everything connects. Everything connects. And interdependence is important. So don't ask me a question, what's sensitive? I mean, if I'm doing with nurture, obviously, those are questions, you have the answers already. I'm not going to add something new. By the way, if you don't have a question, it doesn't matter. You can start talking about what you're doing. This was meant to be a very informal session.
Yes.
It wasn't meant to be a
Yeah.
question answer. Just tell me what you guys do. What do you enjoy doing? Just start conversation like that. I want to know you guys. What's the most exciting thing any one of you has done which you like? Hands up quickly. The most exciting. No, not you, Vinod. Kids.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
What have you
for
done?
that.
The most exciting.
Yes.
All right, the maddest. I'll make it more difficult. What's the maddest thing you've done? It doesn't have to be architecture.
Can I go?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like truly mad, but my third year I traveled in a train AC like class without without getting a ticket. Like I was
Did you
able
get
to.
caught?
I did not get caught. Like I did not get caught. I don't know what went through my head that day. I had to get to a place like really fast, so I couldn't get the ticket.
So that's still not bad enough. If you went to the jail and then you told me how you got out, that
No,
would be bad.
that's it. I don't.
Next.
Can I?
Guys, you're so square. You haven't even finished your education. You can't even think of the most mad thing to say. You're going nowhere, you kids. You're going to fail at everything you do in life.
I think Shreya is telling something. Yeah. Shreya.
Yes, sir. One day in college, we were having this crazy week of submissions and whatnot. I packed my bag and called up this friend and two people that I've never met before in my life. And the four of us girls took a vehicle and we just traveled to Gokarna, I believe, and we spent 2 days just trekking around the place and sleeping. We slept under the stars on the beach that day. I
That's
believe that
nice.
was the craziest thing I did.
And did your parents know?
They still don't know.
They say, oh, that makes it nice and juicy. That's very nice. So more like that. Come on, more. Of course, I'm not asking you what was the craziest thing you did in those 2 days, because that, you may not want to share with everybody on a public media, but that would be fun too. Okay.
I've always wanted to combine something very hard and something very useless into one journey or something of the sorts. So when I was in college, I kind of sneaked out of my house and traveled to Hyderabad and got a haircut and came back.
It was a short. You cut your hair short?
Very short.
Okay.
And a day later, my mom knew that I left home and she thought I went to college. And the next day I came back with a short hair and she still doesn't know where I went to get that done.
So you went all the way to Hyderabad to get a haircut?
Just to get a haircut.
Okay. Good, great. And was it a beauty salon or was it just...
It was a beauty salon with a very questionable hairdresser who I think may have been retarded and I didn't know Hindi at the time, so I couldn't communicate anything with him. And he was saying something and I was trying to explain in English and he did what he wanted to with my hair. And it was a surprise. I didn't know what was being done and then it was way shorter than I expected. So yeah.
God, at least you didn't streak it. Did you streak it?
Sorry.
Color it pink?
No, I didn't. I wish I did, but I didn't.
It doesn't matter. You have another life for some madness.
Absolutely.
Real architecture will come out of you from the unexpected. It'll come out often as an accident. But the moment you can structure these imponderable situations, the better you will be at being an architect. So I think we're talking about madness. And it's an essential prerequisite for architecture. That's why the architecture is so bloody boring in this country still, because it just hasn't liberated itself. I think the village people who don't profess to go to colleges of architecture, remember we didn't have any architectural colleges before the independence. Well, they made the most fascinating structures, fascinating buildings, so-called vernacular. Vernacular is a terrible word because it's linked to verna, to color, and it's a very colonial term. But what I mean is indigenous, what people come out with their innate sense of material skill and context.
Yeah. No, actually, I was talking to them before you came. One thing
Yeah.
I was telling was about the moment, that old Stapatis in Kerala, we have always heard when they went to the site, they never knew what they will do there, or whether they will do, whether they won't do. So the moment was so important in India. I guess today in colleges, we don't teach, or we ourselves don't experience that too much, because we all follow a certain structure. But I guess it's very, very tough to break that, or even to discuss these aspects to students. Hannah, what do you think,
Why?
sir? Yeah.
Why do you think that happened? No,
Yeah.
I agree with you. But why do you think that happened? Why has the moment vanished? Is it because it's too much of structuring, curriculum?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. I'm not sure. Because we are trying to break from it. Once we break from these structures, we are also open to more moments. I would say like that.
Yeah, but we make these structures, and
Yeah.
sometimes even the moment requires a structure.
Hmm.
So I think you have to understand what this moment is about.
Hmm.
I think it's about your senses
Yeah.
and about dhyana, about centered.
Yeah.
All must live at that moment. You must let it preside you, and then it will begin to speak by itself.
Yeah.
Like to add to that maybe we don't know the moment now because maybe we haven't had moments before. Like from now, like from childhood, we are protected so much. Like in every aspect of our life, we have been so much care and protection that we ourselves don't know what to do in a moment. We're always taught about that. So maybe previously, I think older generation had more exposure to stuff until the time they started creating. So I suppose they knew what they had to because they had experience from when they were child, but we don't have that. We just get to experience ourselves only when we get into a hostel or only when we are just in college. So I guess that has a very big psychological effect on us. We are protected too much.
Protection can even happen at a hostel. I find my grandson wants to leave the house because he thinks he's overprotected or overburdened by parents. He's sitting here, that's why I'm speaking. But otherwise I can't join you guys. He's the one he's 13 years old, but he thinks he's 18. But he's the one who helps me connect. The point here is that that I think even your peer group is also a very conditioning a bad effect. Just going to college and being bindas or being in a hostel without parents looking or doing what I want to, it doesn't really help you because it's still, what are you doing? I see kids waste their time all the time. I'm saying this near my grandson. It's not that they're really sowing some wild oats or doing something that say, wow, I get bored with my grandchildren. So I imagine that your parents are not being overbearing. They're just thinking, are you in the right sangat? Sangat is very important because sangat should change your entire approach to life. And then भेदी क्या था भेदी बीजो नहीं भेदी संगत लीजो साथ भेदी भेद ढूंढ लिए कबीर का एक दोहा मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा और फिर उसपे समय का बड़ा एहसास सॉरी टाइम हैज अ ग्रेट वैल्यू टू होल्ड माली सींचे 100 घड़े ऋतु होवे तो फूल होवे also it's time. You can go on and on watering a plant, but it's not necessarily going to grow and give you a flower or fruit if the time is right. So the time is important. Now to be aware and to see what the time needs. Sometimes your peer group can have totally diametrically opposed view. You can be going with the gang and not going anywhere. So I'm not sure about this protection. I think it does help if your parents allow you the freedom you want. But I think you have to look within. I think we have the shackles. We have structured us. See, I thought that you guys would have seen my work. Probably some of you may have seen the Bombay airport, or you may have seen, but these things are not in the public domain. I've just done a big house for the Danis and their corporate headquarters, and I continue to work in the villages. There's a geo enterprise that's in 5 states. If you don't know anything about my work, then go and find it now, and let's come back with a critique, because I think you need to be better informed. I just, I think students are the only people who can be rude. And if you can't be rude, I'm getting bored. So you
Please
have
be
to
rude.
inform yourself. You have to inform yourself. You have to see, what's this guy talking about? Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's see how he's telling us a lie. How is he telling us the truth? Then you know my work. Then you can say, we saw this. We didn't understand what you meant by it. It was all false, or it was copied, or it's something new and we couldn't understand it. So inform yourself of the person you're talking to. Don't leave it so spontaneous.
I wanted to ask that how do you identify the intangible art for your projects, and what is the idea behind what is your idea behind finding an intangible art, or and discovering it and bringing
There's
it
nothing called
in this.
intangible. Okay, I got your point. How do you touch the intangible? So now there is an intangible of everything that's tangible, and there's a tangible of the intangible. Now you're an architect. Suppose, and Kerala, the rains are about to come, and you have a system of a veranda where it's not inside the house, it's not outside, but you're protected, and yet you're within the elements. You can go out and sit in a veranda and feel the breeze. Now, the veranda is the physical, tangible part of it. But sitting out, feeling the breeze, eating maybe, drinking a hot cup of tea or coffee, or eating a pakora as we would do in the north when it's raining, or chatting with friends, that's all intangible, of that tangible. But if that tangible area between the inside and the outside wasn't created in architecture, you would not feel the same. So that's the intangible of that tangible. So in everything you do, which is so-called tangible, it touches the intangible. If you say intangible art, that's again a very scary term, the word art, because I don't know where art ends or where craft begins. All that is colonial excess baggage for me. I think any creativity is what I identify with. And I don't really think there's something high and there's something low. So, but if you were to say art itself, I mean, the ephemeral art is like the making of these Ravanas that burn and they finish in no time, or food that the smell of it is what you eat. At the moment with my COVID, I had COVID, by the way. I can't smell anything, so I'm really going crazy because all linked. So I think the intangible part is there in almost anything. You mentioned something tangible, and I'll try and tell you my intangible experience of it. Or vice versa. Tell me about an experience, and I'll see where I felt it most in a tangible and material environment. We could leave that as an exercise for the next meeting. But,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. So, sir, we did a whole exercise in Karaikal, Pondicherry, in South. There we came across a lot of tangible heritage and intangible heritage also. But
Give
what
me an
we can,
example.
uh, yeah. So they used to make a mat out of korai grass, and likewise they used to have practice pottery from that soil which was available, and they used to make their huts from that korai grass, and that korai grass was all available on the Kaveri banks. So they used to have everything from the nature, and they used to do everything from the locally available materials, and and they had a lot of a variety in their food. So in every landscape, whether it was around the river banks and around the paddy fields, and in their courtyards, so they were growing a variety of crops. So they were having this whole rich variety in, as you said, that if you smell the food, that's the tangible thing, and the smell and the taste, it's all intangible thing. So it was there in there also. So how do
But
you
sometimes,
like, I'm a bit of confused that how do we find it in pottery and other art forms, in
well,
pottery or in mat making or weaving? So
the korai
this
grass
is
you're
what
talking about.
I wanted to say,
Yeah,
sir.
okay. The korai grass you're talking about. Do you know when the woman goes to cut it or
Hello.
find it? Do you know when the woman who finds the korai grass to convert into a mat? Sometimes she has to walk miles to get it because the grass is disappearing because of climate change, all kinds of things. A lot of intangible that touches on the politics of a situation. Pottery has huge politics. The mud is disappearing. The kind of the shape of the wheels are changing. The memory of the form is changing. So there's a lot of information that can let you experience the intangible domain of that particular object or what it can say. But
Thank you so much,
you're,
sir. We
you're
will
a
meet
friend, and
again.
I'm
Yeah,
always there for friends whenever you
yeah,
want to.
yeah.
But please be more informed.
Yes.
Please be more critical and give me a tough time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I go to sleep.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Bye.